There's a really old story about the pitfalls of human interaction. And it comes from, I think this came from ancient China. So the story goes, one day a wealthy landowner gets up like every other day, and he goes out into his fields and his barns, and he's supervising the workers. He's working himself, generally taking care of his business. As the day wears on, he wonders that he's forgotten something, and finally it occurs to him that what he'd forgotten is that his nearest neighbor, a good friend of his, had invited him to a celebration of his birthday. So this farmer consults the Rolex of the day, which would be the angle of the sun, and he decides, if I go home first and clean up, then I will miss my friend's party possibly, and I'll offend my friend, and I don't want to do that. So he decides right then to go. So he gets a horse and he rides to his friend's house, and there are other carriages and things up there where, it's a party. All the other farmer, his friends are there. So he walks in, the servants there let him in the door, and he's, like I said, he's dirty, he's been working all day. He comes in, he sees a couple of people he knows, and he tries to speak to them. They shun him, and he makes his way toward the table where the food's set out, and he hears people whispering in the background about smelling animals and filth. Well, by this time, he's starting to get a little embarrassed, and he sees across this banquet hall his good friend talking with a couple of other friends. And they make eye contact, and he waves to his friend, and his friend just turns around and walks off with the other people like he hadn't seen him. So this landowner, he's had enough, so he goes out, he gets back on his horse, and he heads to his house, and then he decides something. So he goes in, and really quickly he cleans up, and he puts on the best clothes he can find, nice robe, nice shirt, nice pants, and nice shoes. So he goes back to his friend's home. And as he walks in, the people that had shunned him before are trying to speak to him. He just pushes them aside. And he makes his way across the room to the banquet table, and he picks up a nice piece of meat, and he stuffs it in his trouser pocket. He says, "Eat, trousers." Then he goes over to a nice setting of vegetables, and he picks up some vegetables, and he stuffs them in the pockets of his coat. And he says, "Eat, coat, enjoy yourself." Well, eventually, his friend, the owner of the home, the one whose birthday it is, comes up to him and puts his hand on his shoulders, and the landowner turns around, and his friend says, "My dear friend, why are you acting in such a bizarre manner?" And slowly, a sad smile of understanding comes across the landowner's face. And he looks at his friend. He said, "I was here earlier with the honest dirt of the fields to show my respect for you for your birthday. All of your guests insulted me and shunned me. And you, my good, dear friend, looked at me from across the room and walked away from me and shunned me as well. So all I could infer from this was that you had not invited me to celebrate your birthday, but you'd invited my clothes. So I've brought my clothes to your birthday and seen that they received all the benefits of the party." So, a strange tale, to be sure, but it illustrates a couple of points. And the main point is this: an acquaintance or even a transitory friend might invite you into their home, but a true friend will invite you into their life. And when you're invited to someone's life, then it really is come as you are. We give a shout out to Freud Reactive Wear, because society is complicated, and sooner or later, we're all going to slip.